After my wife watched TikTok videos about being a high-value woman and demanded a $2,000 monthly allowance for the privilege of being with me, I silently removed my name from the lease, canceled all utilities, and disappeared without a trace. 3 days later, she was banging on our dark apartment door, unable to charge her phone to post more TikToks about her high-value lifestyle. What's up, Reddit? Never thought I'd be posting my marriage problems here, but I need to get this off my chest. I, 32 male, was married to Mia, 29 female, for about 3 years. Notice the past tense? Yeah, there's a reason for that. So I work as a heavy equipment operator at a major construction company. Been doing it for almost a decade, mainly running excavators, bulldozers, and cranes on commercial sites. It's not glamorous, but it pays damn well. The hours can be brutal, usually 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And yeah, I come home tired and dirty most days, but I've always been good with my hands and prefer being outside than stuck in some office where I'd probably lose my mind, staring at spreadsheets all day. Mia was a makeup artist when we met. Pretty good one, too. Worked at a high-end salon downtown and did weddings and special events on weekends. She had this whole Instagram portfolio that was actually impressive as hell. She had a solid client base and made decent money. Not as much as me, but she was doing all right for herself. That's one of the things that attracted me to her. She was independent, ambitious, had her own thing going. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, she was gorgeous. The kind of woman who turns heads when she walks into a room, you know? After we got married, things were good for about the first year. We both worked, split the bills proportional to our incomes. I paid about 65%, she paid 35%, and shared household stuff. Neither of us loved cleaning or cooking, but we figured it out together. We'd meal prep on Sundays, take turns doing laundry, and hire a cleaning service once a month for the deep cleaning stuff. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. We'd go on dates, hang out with friends, normal couple stuff. I really thought we had something solid. We talked about kids down the road, maybe buying a bigger house in a few years. Standard American dream shit, you know? Then about 2 years ago, Mia started coming home more stressed than usual. At first, it was just occasional complaints. Difficult clients, schedule conflicts, the usual work drama. But gradually it became an everyday thing. That witch Monica scheduled me for 6 back-to-back clients with no break again, she'd say. Or, this bridezilla wants me to completely redo her trial makeup the day before her wedding because she saw some TikTok look she wants to copy. Her salon manager was apparently a real piece of work too, constantly changing schedules last minute, playing favorites, and taking a bigger cut from special event bookings than they'd initially agreed on. After a few months of these daily rants, Mia brought up the idea of quitting. I just need a break, Jackson. Maybe a few months to reset, she said, curled up on the couch one night after a particularly rough day. The salon environment is getting toxic, and I'm not enjoying it anymore. I used to love making people feel beautiful, but now it's just stress and drama. Now it was surprising, but I thought about it and figured we could manage on my income alone. We had a decent emergency fund saved up, about 6 months of expenses, no kids, and our mortgage wasn't insane by today's standards. Plus, I had just gotten a small raise and was getting consistent overtime. All right, I told her one night after we'd been discussing it for weeks. If you want to quit, I'm okay supporting us for a while, but we need some ground rules. She seemed relieved, her whole body relaxing as she asked what I was thinking. I'll cover the bills while you reset, but you have to know that this isn't a spa retreat. You're not quitting a job just to clock out of life. You handle the house, meals, cleaning, errands, no debate. That's the deal. Because I can't work 10-hour days operating heavy machinery and then come home to cook and clean too. I'd be a zombie within a week. She nodded without hesitation to the idea. Of course. That makes total sense. I can definitely do that. Plus, I'll have time to maybe try freelancing a bit or take some online courses to expand my makeup skills. Maybe even start building my own brand. It seemed like a solid plan. She'd get a break from her stressful job. I'd come home to a clean house and hot meals, and she'd have time to figure out her next career move. Win-win, right? The first couple months of our new arrangement actually went pretty smooth. I'd come home to a clean house, laundry done, and dinner ready most nights. Not gonna lie, it was pretty awesome at first. Mia seemed less stressed, started working out more at this women's fitness studio near our place, and was talking about maybe starting her own makeup business from home. I could convert that spare bedroom into a studio space, she'd say excitedly. Get some good lighting, a proper chair, storage for all my products. I could start taking clients here and keep all the profit instead of giving the salon a cut. She even made a business Instagram and started posting makeup tutorials. Some of them got decent views, and I was genuinely happy for her. This seemed like exactly what she needed, a reset with a clear path forward. During this phase, our relationship was actually better than it had been in months. With the stress of her job gone, Mia was more relaxed, more affectionate. She'd greet me with a kiss when I got home, ask about my day, actually listen when I told her about the ridiculous shit my coworkers pulled or the challenges we were having with the current project. On weekends, we'd go hiking, check out new restaurants, or just chill at home watching movies. It felt like we were dating again. I remember thinking, damn, this was totally the right call. But then something started to change. Looking back, I can pinpoint exactly when the shift happened. It started about 2.5 months into our new arrangement. I noticed Mia was spending more and more time on her phone, like constantly scrolling TikTok for hours. At first, I didn't think much of it. Everybody wastes time on social media, including me. But then she started talking differently. Jackson, have you heard about the feminine era? She asked one night while I was watching the game. The what now? I mumbled, distracted by the terrible call the ref had just made. The feminine era. It's about women embracing their divine feminine energy and men stepping into their masculine role as providers and protectors. I just kind of nodded and went back to the game. Didn't seem worth a discussion. But these comments kept coming. You know, she said one night while scrolling, a high-value man always makes sure his woman feels taken care of, financially and emotionally. I didn't know if she was trying to drop hints, test me, or brainwash herself, but she wasn't letting it go. Jessica's husband gives her a personal spending allowance of $3,000 a month. No questions asked. In a traditional marriage, the man should handle all the finances while the woman creates a beautiful home environment. At first, I just laughed it off. Good thing we're not traditional then, I'd joke. Or, well, when I'm making tech bro money instead of construction worker money, we can talk about 3 grand allowances. But then things took another shift. Dinner went from home-cooked meals to DoorDash takeout 3 or 4 times a week. I was too tired to cook, became her regular excuse, even though, as far as I could tell, she didn't do anything all day except go to the gym and watch TikTok. The house started getting messier. Not filthy, but definitely not the clean, organized space she'd maintained at first. Laundry piled up. Dishes sat in the sink. The bathroom started getting that gross buildup around the sink faucet. When I'd come home tired after operating a crane all day in 90-degree heat, instead of asking how my day was, she'd immediately start telling me about drama from her TikTok feeds, or complaining that we didn't go out enough. We never do anything fun anymore, she'd whine. Despite the fact that I was working overtime most weekends to make up for her lost income, I started noticing other weird changes too. She'd always dressed nice, but suddenly she was ordering expensive clothes online constantly. Packages would arrive daily. Designer bags, shoes that cost more than my work boots, makeup that she claimed was for her business, but seemed to just pile up unused. One night about 6 months into this arrangement, I came home to no dinner, a totally messy house, and Mia lounging on the couch in new clothes with shopping bags scattered around. Hey babe, I was thinking we could order sushi tonight, she said without looking up from her phone. Again? We've eaten takeout the last 3 nights, I said, looking around at the mess. What have you been doing all day? She finally looked up, clearly annoyed. I had a me day. I went shopping, got my nails done, and met Alexis for lunch. So, no cleaning or anything? She rolled her eyes like I was being ridiculous. I'm not your maid, Jackson. I needed some self-care today. I took a deep breath, trying not to snap. Mia, we made a deal. I'd handle the bills, you'd handle the house. That's what we agreed on. She scoffed without even looking up. I'm your wife, Jackson, not some employee you get to clock in and out. I don't need to justify how I spend my day. All right. Message received. No yelling, no debate. I just logged the moment and moved on. I knew where this was heading to. The next morning, I quietly canceled the cleaning service. No heads up, no discussion. If she was going to run the house like a full-time gig, cool. Let's see some leadership. She noticed the following week when the invoice didn't come through. Hey, did the cleaners reschedule or something? I shrugged while pouring coffee. Didn't seem like we needed them. You're home now, right? She didn't say a word, just blinked like she wasn't sure if she heard me right. Her jaw clenched, eyes narrowed for half a second, but she swallowed whatever comeback she was cooking and walked off. Thing is, it didn't trigger a wake-up call. It just became routine. Mess piled up, takeout bags started stacking like Tetris blocks, and every day it felt like I was coming home to someone I didn't recognize. And things kept getting worse over the next few months. Mia started hanging out with this new group of friends. Mainly these girls who I'll call Alexis, Tara, and Destiny. All single or divorced women in their early 30s who seem to spend most of their time posting filtered selfies on Instagram and complaining about men. I only met them a few times, but each encounter left me with a worse impression than the last. Alexis was recently divorced and bitter as hell about it, constantly making snide comments about her ex, despite the fact that she was the one who cheated. Tara had never been married, but had strong opinions about how husbands should treat their wives. And Destiny was between boyfriends, each one apparently worse than the last, according to her stories. Suddenly, these women were at our house all the time, drinking our sparkling water and fancy coffee that I paid for, eating our food that I paid for, and filling Mia's head with more of this high-value woman crap. I came home early one day because a water main broke at our work site and they shut down operations. I pulled into the driveway and heard women's voices through the open patio door. I was about to announce myself when I overheard their conversation. "Girl, you've got it made," Alexis was saying. "Jackson just hands over his paycheck and doesn't even question what you do all day. That's queen shit." "I mean, he does complain sometimes about the house or whatever," Mia replied. "Men always want a maid they can sleep with," Tara said. "You need to train him better. My ex used to try that shit with me. I told him that's what his money is for, to take care of me so I can focus on my feminine energy." They all laughed. "Seriously, though," Destiny chimed in, "you should be getting an actual allowance. Like money that's just yours to spend however you want. Makeup, clothes, girls' trips, whatever. That's the bare minimum." "Jordan gives his wife $2,000 a month just for her personal spending," Alexis added. "That's what I'm talking about. And he's just a software developer, not exactly rolling in it." "How do I even bring that up, though?" Mia asked. "Jackson's already been weird about the credit card charges lately." "Girl, if he wants to act like the CFO of your life, you need to be the HR department for his bedroom," Alexis chimed in. "Start saying no. You don't get husband benefits if he's acting like your boss." Destiny nodded like it was gospel. "Exactly. If he controls the money, you control the intimacy. That's called balance." I quietly backed out to the garage and slammed the door loudly before coming in again, making it obvious I was home. Their conversation immediately shifted to some boring TV show they were all watching. That night, after her friends left, Mia approached me while I was getting ready for bed. "Jackson, we need to talk about our financial arrangement." I looked up from my phone. "What about it?" "Well, I've been thinking I shouldn't have to ask you for money every time I want to buy something. It's humiliating." "You have access to our joint account for household expenses," I reminded her. "That's not what I mean. I should have my own money. Like a monthly allowance that's just mine without the need of me to ask." I stared at her. "You want me to give you an allowance now? Like you're my child?" "No, like I'm your wife who deserves financial security and independence." "Independence would be having your own job and earning your own money, Mia," she huffed. "That's such a masculine way of thinking. In the feminine era, women are embracing their natural role as nurturers, and men are supposed to provide. That's how it's always been traditionally. That's the natural role of a real man. Traditionally, the women actually took care of the house and family in exchange," I pointed out. She glared at me. "I do take care of things. When's the last time you cooked a meal that wasn't from a delivery app? Or did laundry? Or cleaned the bathroom? It's not about checking boxes on some chore list, Jackson. It's about energy exchange. I bring feminine energy to this marriage. I make our house a home, and I put effort to look good for you." I looked around at the cluttered bedroom, the pile of my work clothes that had been sitting unfolded for days, and the takeout containers on her nightstand. Right. Well, until I see more of that energy turning into actual contributions around here, the current financial setup isn't changing. She stormed out and slept in the guest room that night. While all this drama was going on, our financial situation was getting worse. I had always been good with money, lived below my means, saved consistently, avoided debt beyond our mortgage. But now, money was flying out of our account faster than I could put it in. I sat down one night after Mia went to bed and really looked at our spending. In the past 3 months alone, food costs had doubled. Mostly from delivery apps, shopping had tripled. All her clothes and makeup. She'd signed up for 4 different subscription boxes ranging from $50 to $100 a month. Our credit card suddenly had a $4,000 balance when we'd always paid it in full before. The fun money account I'd set up for vacations and big purchases was almost empty. By the time I checked our accounts, the numbers were flashing red. Burn through the emergency fund in a few months and I'd be busting my back 7 days a week just to keep us afloat. Not happening. Next morning, I dropped the hammer over breakfast. "Mia, we're cutting back. Hard. Starting now." She didn't even look up from her phone. "On what exactly? $800 a month on takeout stops today?" She scoffed. "So I'm just your full-time chef now? After everything else I do?" "Yeah? Like what?" Her jaw twitched, but I didn't give her time to fire back. "Also, subscription boxes? Gone. That's $300 a month for crap sitting unopened in the hallway. Those are business expenses, she snapped. I'm investing in my brand. I leaned in. You're 8 months deep into building a brand that's brought in $0. You're not investing. You're playing dress up. She folded her arms. It's not like your job is that hard. You move dirt around all day. I smiled, slow. Yeah, dirt that buys your gym classes, skincare hauls, and lavender lattes. Dirt that keeps the lights on. Then maybe get a better job, she shot back. Taryn's husband just started his own company, and they bought a vacation house. I froze, just processing the sheer audacity. You think the problem is my income? I asked, standing. Nah. The problem is you're spending like we already have that house. She rolled her eyes. So this is all my fault? You quit your job, remember? We had a deal. I carry the finances, you carry the house. But I'm carrying both now. And you've turned this place into a dump. Fine. I'll delete DoorDash. Happy now? I didn't answer. I was already pulling out my phone. What are you doing? Calling the bank. Credit cards are done. I'm not financing your fantasy while you play pretend entrepreneur. Welcome to real life, Mia. She stared, stunned. I didn't wait for her next line. I was already walking out the door. The final straw came about 2 weeks later. I came home from an exhausting day. We'd had equipment failures at the site, and I'd spent hours in the hot sun fixing hydraulic lines on an excavator. All I wanted was a shower, food, and maybe to watch the game. Instead, I walked into a house full of people. Mia had invited Alexis, Tara, Destiny, and some other women I didn't know for some kind of goddess circle or whatever. They were all sitting in our living room drinking sparkling water and had clearly been there for hours. The house was a disaster. Empty bottles everywhere, food scraps on the coffee table, music blasting. And there was Mia, tipsy and giggly, holding court in the middle of it all. When she saw me, she barely acknowledged my presence. Oh, hey babe, there's no dinner? We ordered pizza earlier, but it's all gone. You can order something if you want. I just nodded, went upstairs, showered, and ordered a burger for myself. I was too tired to fight. When her friends finally cleared out around midnight, leaving the house looking like a bottle service graveyard, she was on the couch, half scrolling, half smirking like nothing was wrong. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't sit down either. Just stood there, like some unpaid bouncer in my own house, watching the circus pack up. This isn't working, I said. I pay for everything. Carry all the weight. You bring nothing but bills and attitude. She blinked at me like I'd read the weather report. You quit your job, ignored our deal, burned through money like it's Monopoly cash, and turned this house into a holding cell I fund. She opened her mouth, but I kept going. You gave up a career for bubble baths and TikToks? That was your choice. And now you think looking good is a contribution. She stared, arms crossed, waiting for me to blow up. I didn't. I don't control you, Mia. Never tried. But I'm done financing a lifestyle built on delusion. So if this setup doesn't feel secure to you anymore, good. That means it's working. Then I walked past her, grabbed a pillow, and shut the guest room door behind me. That night, I didn't just sleep somewhere else. I mentally moved out. The rest, just logistics. After that day, Mia seemed to sense something was about to explode. She toned down the attitude a bit the next few days, even made dinner one night. But it was too little, too late. The disrespect, the entitlement, the complete abandonment of our agreement. It had killed whatever love I had left. I just needed to be smart about how I handled things. When I contacted a lawyer, it turned out, in our state, short-term marriages, under 5 years, rarely qualify for long-term alimony, especially with no kids involved. Plus, Mia was young, educated, and had a viable career she'd voluntarily left. The lawyer seemed confident she wouldn't get much, if anything. The court generally expects able-bodied adults to support themselves, he explained. The fact that she willingly left her job and has a marketable skill would work in your favor. We also had a simple prenup that basically stated we each keep what we brought into the marriage and split any joint assets 50-50. The house had been mine before we married, so it would stay mine, though I might need to buy out her portion of equity gained during marriage. The lawyer advised me to document everything: her spending habits, the state of the house, our conversations about her contributions, just in case she tries to claim she was a homemaker who deserves support, he said. While all this was happening, I made some other moves too. I opened my own separate bank account and started depositing my paychecks there instead of the joint account. Then I gathered all important documents and moved them to a safe deposit box at my bank. I spent evenings when she was out with friends, documenting her spending habits and lack of contribution to the household with photos and notes. Changed my 401k beneficiary back to my parents just to be safe. I did a thorough inventory of our possessions, noting what was mine pre-marriage so there'd be no confusion later. Started quietly moving my most important personal items to my buddy Dave's garage. As a final precaution, I froze our joint credit cards to prevent any last-minute shopping sprees once she realized what was happening. All that while I kept things civil at home, slept in the guest room most nights, claiming I didn't want to disturb her when I got up early. About 2 weeks into my plan, Mia noticed the lack of deposits to our joint account. "Why isn't your paycheck showing up?" she asked one morning as I was getting ready for work. "I'm handling some financial restructuring," I said vaguely. "Don't worry about it." She definitely worried about it. Within days, Mia did a complete 180. Suddenly, she was cooking again. The house was getting cleaned. She started asking about my day, offering back rubs when I got home from work. One day, I came home to her wearing an apron and pulling a roast out of the oven like some 1950s housewife fantasy. "I've been thinking about what you said," she told me over dinner. "You were right. I haven't been holding up my end of things. I'm going to do better." I just nodded and ate my food. It was good, I'll give her that. But it was way too late. "I've also been thinking about getting back into makeup," she continued when I didn't respond enthusiastically. "Maybe start taking clients again? Would that make you happy?" "Do whatever you want, Mia," I said. She looked deflated by my response. Good. For the next couple weeks, this new perfect wife act continued. She was trying hard, I'll give her that. But I could see the resentment behind her eyes. This wasn't a genuine change. This was fear. Fear of losing her meal ticket. Meanwhile, everything was proceeding with the divorce. Papers were drawn up. Strategy was planned. All while I acted normal at home, just more distant. The day finally came when everything was ready. I took the day off work but pretended to go in as usual. Then I came back when I knew Mia would be at her weekly nail appointment. I packed the rest of my essential belongings, loaded them into my truck, and left the divorce papers on the kitchen counter. Just done. I moved into a decent one-bedroom apartment closer to my job site. Rent was reasonable, and it had a garage for my tools and project car. And there was something peaceful about coming home to a place that stayed exactly as clean as I left it. Mia, of course, went ballistic when she found the papers. The calls and texts started immediately. "You can't just leave like this. Answer your phone." Then, "We need to talk about this. You owe me that much." Followed by, "You're making a huge mistake." Everything was getting better. And finally, "Please come home so we can fix this. I miss you so much." I kept my replies short and factual. The papers explain everything. Talk to your lawyer if you have questions. My decision is final. After a few days of this, her tone changed. "How am I supposed to pay the bills?" She texted at 3 a.m., then an hour later, "The credit cards aren't working." And by morning, "I can't afford this house by myself. You need to come back and fix this." I had my lawyer explain that I would continue paying the mortgage until the divorce was finalized, but utilities and other expenses were her responsibility now. She needed to get a job. And you know what? She did. Within 2 weeks, she was back at a salon, begging for her old position. They took her back at a lower rate, and suddenly Mia was working 9-hour days again. Weird how feminine era doesn't cover rent or credit card minimums. The real surprise came about a month into the separation when my doorbell rang on a Sunday morning. I opened it to find Mia's parents, Robert and Nancy, standing there looking serious. "We need to talk to you, Jackson," Robert said. I let them in, offered coffee, which they declined. "Mia says you abandoned her," Nancy started. "Left her with nothing. Is that true? Is that what she told you?" I asked calmly. "Did she mention that she quit her job 2 years ago, with the agreement that she'd handle the household while I worked to become a high-value woman? Did she tell you how that actually played out?" They looked at each other uncertainly. Robert cleared his throat. "She said you expected her to be a slave." I laughed, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "Yeah, real slave vibes. $600 a month on nails, hair, massages. Uber Eats 5 nights a week, while I worked 10-hour shifts running heavy equipment. Total oppression." They just stared, so I pulled out my phone and started flipping through receipts like it was show and tell. Photos of the disaster she called a house, credit card bills stacked with restaurant tabs and online shopping sprees, screenshots of Mia texting me like a loan shark's worst client. "Did she also mention her high-value woman phase?" I asked, deadpan. "Where she decided existing was enough to qualify for an allowance?" Their faces started shifting, like they just got hit with a gust of reality. Nancy finally shook her head. "We raised her better than this." I shrugged. "You tried. Sometimes the Wi-Fi just doesn't connect, you know?" They mumbled a few awkward goodbyes and left looking like they aged 5 years on my doorstep. 3 days later, they were back. Different vibe this time. Less defensive parents, more, "How do we fix what we broke?" "Jackson," Robert began, looking uncomfortable. Nancy and I owe you an apology. We've had a long talk with Mia and gotten the full story. Nancy nodded. We raised her better than this. We're truly sorry for how she treated you and for coming here accusing you the other day. I appreciated the apology and told them so. But then the conversation took an interesting turn. Robert cleared his throat. There's something else, Jackson. Mia's really struggling financially right now. The salon isn't giving her enough hours yet, and she's got some credit card debt that's significant. Nancy jumped in. We're helping her with a place to stay, but we're on a fixed retirement income. We were wondering if maybe you could help her out. Just a small loan to get her back on her feet? Maybe $5,000? I couldn't help it. I laughed. I was genuine disbelief. From where do they get all this audacity? Let me get this straight, I said, shaking my head. Your daughter quit her job, refused to contribute to our household, demanded I pay her an allowance for existing, disrespected me repeatedly, and now you want me to give her money. They had the decency to look embarrassed. We understand it's awkward, Robert said, but she is struggling and you two were married. We're being the key word, I replied firmly. Mia made her choices. She decided I wasn't worth respecting unless I was financing her lifestyle. Now she can learn to finance it herself. But if you could just… Nancy started. I cut her off gently. No. The Bank of Jackson is permanently closed to Mia. She's young, healthy, and has marketable skills. She'll figure it out. After they left, I shook my head thinking about the whole situation. Like father, like daughter, both expecting handouts. They were good people in many ways, but they'd enabled Mia's entitled attitude her whole life. No wonder she turned out the way she did. The divorce process dragged on longer than I expected. Mia hired a lawyer who tried to argue that she deserved spousal support because she had sacrificed her career for the marriage. Fortunately, my lawyer was prepared for this and had all the documentation ready. Texts showing she had voluntarily quit, social media posts where she bragged about not having to work, photos of the messy house proving she wasn't maintaining the home, and it was all finalized 4 months later. Thanks to the prenup and my lawyer's solid work, the financial split was clean. I kept the house, bought out her small portion of equity, my 401k, and my project car. She got half of our joint savings, which wasn't much by that point, her personal belongings, and her car, which was paid off. The day the divorce was finalized, I felt like a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I celebrated by going camping in the mountains for a weekend with my dog Rex, who Mia had never wanted but I got right after the separation. Just me, Rex, and the quiet outdoors. No TikTok, no demands, no drama. It was the most peaceful I'd felt in years. As for me, life is pretty good now. Got promoted to site supervisor last month, which came with a nice pay bump. Dating casually, nothing serious. The house is on the market. Too many memories there. And I'm looking at some land outside the city where I can build something of my own. I've reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. Turns out Mia had slowly isolated me from most of them because she thought they were negative influences. Translation, they saw through her BS. My buddy Dave and I go fishing most weekends now, and I've started playing basketball with some guys from work on Thursday nights. Heard through mutual friends that Mia's life has gone completely downhill. She's back living with her parents in their basement, had to beg for her old job at the salon where they only gave her the worst shifts and half her previous pay. Apparently, she tried dating some finance guy from Tinder who ghosted her after 2 dates when he realized she expected him to bankroll her lifestyle. And she's been texting me nonstop lately with, I've changed and I realize what I lost. Even showed up at my workplace last week crying about how she made the biggest mistake of her life and how the feminine era was toxic bullshit. My coworkers got quite the show. My dad called me last week after hearing about the divorce from my mom. I was kind of worried he'd give me grief about giving up or not trying hard enough. He's old school like that. Instead, he just said, son, some people are like crabs in a bucket. They'll keep pulling you down to their level. Sounds like you escaped the bucket. Coming from him, that was practically a therapy session. And funny enough, life has a sense of humor. Right when I was least expecting it, I met someone. Total opposite of Mia. No drama, no hidden agenda. Just a woman who shows up for herself and for the people she cares about. She's got her own career, her own money, her own opinions, doesn't need saving, and sure as hell doesn't want to be someone's feminine energy princess. She's the type who sends me memes at 6 a.m., asks about my projects, and actually listens when I talk. She's the real definition of a high-value woman, not the TikTok fantasy kind who thinks being cute is a full-time job. We're taking it slow, no pressure, just mutual respect and real conversations. And I'll tell you something. After what I went through, it feels damn good to sit across from someone and not feel like I'm being appraised like a credit score. So yeah, no regrets, just lessons, upgrades, and a fresh start.